it has to come to Parliament at intervals to be renewed. And they used to come very frequently, and they extended the period now to, I think, 6 monthly intervals. But there's been no clear policy direction from the Minister of National Security as to what needs to happen, what the circumstances have to be like for them to say, okay, we've gone far enough with this particular thing and we need to move on. So we don't really know what it is what the criteria are, that would say, oh yes, all right, it's time to move on from Zozo. And I think that discussion needs to be had, because some of the communities have been there. I mean, for example, Mount Salem, where this youth have come from, yeah, that has been under Zozo from 2017. Yeah, I think. It was the first with Denham Town. Both of them are still under Zozo. Auguston has been under it for many years now. I don't even know how long it is. So, you know, we need some clear policy direction around it. And I think we need to have, for me, the way to deal with that was to have community engagement and say, how has it worked? Are you happy about it? Do you feel it has achieved something? What is the positives? What are the negatives? And how do we move forward? Because at the end of the day, the law must be for the people's benefit. The law was made because we thought, well, us, but the government was trying to deal with that situation. We put our thoughts into it because there were certain things in there at the time that would have made it very oppressive, and we argued against those things and got some things changed, but it's not perfect. And the people who live through that experience must be our guide as to what needs to happen and how it ought to be dealt with on an ongoing basis. So to us, consultation with the people must be very much part of developing the policy as to how you come out of this situation.
Thank you for that feedback and the comment from our councillor. Now, comrades, just before we go any further, there are about 4 persons who have indicated, so now 5, who have indicated an interest to share some feedback, comments, or pose a question. Some of our members from the People's National Party walked in, and so we must, hail them up. First and foremost, we have our region chair for Region 3, that's Kingston and St. Andrew, which will Comrade Dennis Gordon, big him up, next member of Parliament for East Central St. Andrew. Thank you for joining us, Comrade Chair. We appreciate your presence. Comrade Richie Parchment, former member of Parliament for Southwest St. Elizabeth, right? It's Southeast? Alright, Southeast St. Elizabeth. I never remember which one of the direction. But yes, thank you for joining us. So he's always here with us. He's no stranger to the constituency. Thank you. And Comrade, yes, I did a lot of work with us in the local government region chair. Thank you. Also, we have with us Comrade Patrick Roberts, right? The councillor for the Mullines Garden Division. And we have with us as well Councillor Carl Blake, right, from the Greenwich Town Division. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your presence. Alright, so there are a couple of people who want to come in and kind of try and make it short time. I'm going to leave people at school and work tomorrow. Comrade Leroy, then it was Comrade Chantel, then yourself, and so let's just form a line so people don't get confused and think that we're overlooking it. So come to the front, Comrade Leroy, then Chantel, your third. Alright, so let's do it in that order.
Good night, comrades. Good night, party leader and team PNP. Big up yourself. I have 2 things that I want to answer about. One, I remember that when Michael Mann was the Prime Minister, he had done something to control the prices in terms of sending out inspectors to control the price. I have a problem right now with the prices of things. Concern about the poorer class of people who cannot afford certain things based on the prices. Even the local shops around. The free market thing is getting way out of hand for even the poorer class of people to be able to afford certain things. People are selling things randomly for random prices. You understand? And some people, for the person who have it, can afford certain things, but the persons who don't have it, it's very restrained for those persons to be able to purchase things. So I'm just asking, when PNP come back into power, what we're going to do to control the prices of things. It's really getting way out of hand. Secondly, I just want to share about this. I think that the Prime Minister at this moment, I believe that he's playing God. That's how I look at it. Whenever you look at the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister is saying that the kind of police force that we have now is not the police force then. The type of police that we have now is not the type of police then. And he's saying that it's either you go to the court or you go back to your maker. You understand? I am saying we are to the reform for people. You're not saying that people must commit crime, but there is a court that when you go to the court proves you whether you are guilty or not guilty. And you have the jail or the prison where some people go to and then they rehabilitate them and send them back into society. But if you are going to take it up and say that the police, now you're giving the police them certain authority to just go around and kill people. You understand? What we're seeing on the news right now and some of the young youths are being killed. You understand? Because the power that the Prime Minister is giving unto the police that you can go against the law and do certain things because you committed a crime or you do something. I think that you're supposed to take the person to the court because some people do things, for some different reason. It's not that you are saying that you must commit crime, but there's a court and there's a law. And I think every police must obey the law because you're not bigger than the law.
We're going to take all the questions, comments, and feedback, and then respond. So this is the last set of questions.
All right, good night, comrades. So one of my questions that I wanted to ask was, today during the Prime Minister's, soon-to-be former Prime Minister's budgetary presentation, he made a comment to say that murder actually went down due to the state of emergency that took place in West Kingston. I'm from West Kingston, and I would have seen constitutional breaches, persons being murdered in cold blood, persons having their kids being moved out of the community because of fear. One of my questions is, how are we going to counter that argument, because we know it would have been through different community projects and stuff that we would have, the Peace Initiative, the Union for Change, that would have been, and proper policing, integrating with the police and the community. That's how we would have had violence going down. How would we go ahead as a party to stand and to see? Because of policing and community developments, we have decreased, violence would have decreased. And I've been in this constituency since 2012. I attended UTEP, lived on campus, lived in Mona and on Tavern Drive. I remember when I lived in Mona, I could come into Papine. You had a man named John Wayne. I could get food at John Wayne. When I go down, because I'm a foodie, so I know all the joints. When I come to Tavern, I am able to get food somewhere in Tavern, and even down on Mountain View in East Kingston, because I grew up there. And I would have seen where police, one night I was going home at about 3 a.m. and there was no curfew, and they said that there are curfew. And I'm concerned with because for me, I know it's a class thing when they attack persons, because if you're from the ghetto, police, the reality is the police and the soldier, they don't come to you and they don't say, hey, whatever, they approach the persons in an aggressive tone. So for me, I feel as if persons within the PNP areas, they are being targeted. I don't want to bash the police, but I'm seeing where in Jarrett Lane, I've heard of cases in Mona Commons and other areas within the constituency where police are targeting persons. And fine, I don't have the regular experience. I'm from West Kingston. I can get down and I can get another, but I don't have the everyday experience of the ghetto youths being attacked by police. How do we move forward, and what would be the plans to incorporate and to have unity between the police and the citizens? I remember when Steve McGregor was at Central, he was able to speak with the persons downtown, where I think he was even placed at Denham Town. He was able to speak to persons. What would be the approach for this upcoming PNP government? Because I know fine, I don't have the experience. I have persons living in the ghetto, and their experience might be different.
Good night. My name is Troy Jack. I grew up in Kenya. I have a law degree, and I started working in business early. In countries like Scandinavia and the Netherlands, if the economy falls here normally, it will take about 30 years to build back. Jamaica has been independent since 1962, and all I see is most of the country already sliding. What is your progress to build the economy so that the dollar can be stable and the economy can fluctuate properly? What I'm saying, this government is trying to undermine the integrity commissioner. And only this government have a problem with the integrity commissioner. Nobody else have that. The integrity commissioner come out and say, this government has 28 bank accounts. The one who went get it from. We are saying to this government, we are saying to this government, all these 28 bank accounts, where did you get it from? And then claiming to say, no money not in the whole of it. Right? And you will be the next Prime Minister of this country. They want to undermine the integrity commission. And all the people have problems with the integrity commissioner. Is this government, parliament, understand?
Yes.
And we are saying to you, Mr. You will be the next Prime Minister. And we want to know what you're going to do. The strengthen the integrity commissioner for this corruption, what this government are doing. We're going to wrap it up now. Because we know that the People National Party cannot lose beside this election when it is at the time. And we want you to do something to strengthen the integrity commissioner that they can afford to investigate the corruption when you want to thank you everybody for me.
Administration to deal with the development of the safety industry in Jamaica, especially the fire safety aspect of the economy. I'm just asking if you have any plan to develop the fire safety sector of the economy.
When I'm going to do that, yeah, Mr. Brolin, what I would like to find out, our former leader, which is Michael Joshua Manning. He we bring to this island of Jamaica education, free education, and bring education to the world people in this country. Jamaica, right? I want to know, in bringing AMC, we're going to see how we don't find rice and flour and sugar. You don't forget them something there. You style your black scandal bag, you don't forget them things there. See how I go tell you, say, if you lose the election, you can't lose the war. Then bring the first shipment of government. You know, pass out on that. And them dropping on the wrong hand. Now I want to know, you as our leader, who will form the next government of this country, I want to know if you're going to refresh it back, deal with Jama. Jama is something very important.
Alright, there's just one more, thank you for that. There's just one more question. And we're with...
Good night, comrade leader. Good night, all comrade. With respect, August. Next Prime Minister of Jamaica, what I want you to do when you win this election, before, as a winning night, make sure the morning, the whole and Prime Minister, Bagwana, visa, that's him doing left the island. Remember, doing it left the island. You understand? He's a bad man, you know, but he can't better than you, so they put you up front as a PMP. Roll on your foot, don't let go. Keep up Michael Monday. I was at the funeral, I was at Michael Monday funeral on North Street. And I was security at Michael Monday funeral. Julian Robinson, consequently, big him up to. Big up yourself.
Alright, thank you.
Alright. Well, I hope somebody took a little note. I'm going to start with the Integrity Commission question. When I was Minister of Justice from 2012 to 2016, the whole concept of the Integrity Commission was developed by myself and a team of experts who I had engaged to go and do a survey of the different anti-corruption systems around the world, identify which ones were working, which ones were superior, which ones were defective, and put together a report with a design of an Integrity Commission for Jamaica. Because what existed then was a fragmented situation, meaning several different agencies dealing with several different things, like parliamentarians were dealt with this one, public servants were dealt with this one, the contractor generals over here dealing with contract. They couldn't talk to each other, they couldn't share information, and it was really not a satisfactory arrangement. So we consolidated everything into one agency. It has the power to prosecute corruption offenses, it has power to share information with law enforcement and tax, it has power to receive and require information from law enforcement and tax, and to share and receive information with similar bodies around the world. It is a very powerful organization. But because their work has led them in certain directions, which are inconvenient politically, because some of the people who are under investigation for illicit enrichment are sitting in the parliament, the 8 of them, and one of them is the Prime Minister himself, and has not been able to get past the report that they did on him, which is still outstanding and hasn't been addressed. They want to dismantle or neuter the Integrity Commission. And this is a very serious issue for Jamaica, because corruption is one of the reasons why some of the things that we need we're not getting. Good road, good hospital and clinic, better facilities at schools and so on. The money that should be available is not always reaching where it needs to reach because corruption in the system. So we are fully dedicated to a strong Integrity Commission. it will have our full support. We will not interfere with it. It is not our role to interfere with it. It must be independent. The only thing I expect of them is that they must respect due process, so that when they're investigating, they do so fairly. And then I don't want them to be an instrument of bad administration or anything of that kind. But as long as they are behaving as they should, then meaning that they're complying with the law that governs them, and fairness, the rules of fairness, we will allow them to do the investigations, to prosecute who's to be prosecuted, and we will ensure that they have sufficient resources to do their work, because that is very important. And any wrongdoings that have gone on under this government, those will have to be thoroughly investigated, and whatever action should take place, and let the chips fall and lie where they fall. All right. That's one. Yeah. Yes. The first question was in relation to price controls. Now, in the 70s, we were operating in a different world in which there was basically two systems. There was a socialist system and there was a capitalist system, and they were not, it was an antagonistic situation between the East and the West, as they were called. My command was trying to chart a course where we were independent, we were friends with everybody, and not ruled or controlled by anybody. We stand up in the world on our 2 feet. And the system that was designed then included things like basic food items. There was a price commission that set and controlled any modification of prices. And a lot of the importation of basic food items was handled by the government through what was then called the State Trading Corporation. After 1980, the Washington Consensus, of which Dr. Hudson spoke, said essentially those things, that system needs to be dismantled and cut out, because you're going to have inefficiencies, you're going to have waste, and the way in which you ensure that prices are controlled is not through the state trying to determine what prices should be, but by competition, by having people competing in the marketplace and trying to attract business by offering the best prices so that people come, or good service. That is the way that system is supposed to work. What we need to ensure is that there is a fair trade commission that is supposed to look at how the market is operating, and where players in the marketplace, businesses in the marketplace are not operating fairly, they're misleading advertising, they're price gouging, there's collusion. That needs to be stamped on. And so those agencies need to do their work. The government can also play a role, because certain taxes at the wharf and certain taxes that are imposed on trading, GCT, SCT, customs duty, we need to really look at the impact of those things on the basic food items and see what adjustments can be made so that the prices can come down for the people. And we're committed to reviewing those things and seeing what can be done in that regard. Yes, the exchange rate. Now, Jamaica has had challenges with foreign exchange historically, because we don't produce enough foreign exchange earning goods and services to pay for the things that we need to import to maintain the lifestyle that we're accustomed to. What we have done though in the last 10, 12 years is manage the economy in a more sound way, so that the debt of the country has come down and the need of the country to find foreign exchange to service debt compared to the size of the economy has been getting into a better balance. And as a result, the Bank of Jamaica, the central bank of the country, has been able to build up substantial reserves of foreign exchange. We have, I think, $5 to $6 billion of reserves, which are there to try and ensure that our currency doesn't continue to just fly. And in fairness, the dollar has been relatively stable over the last few years. You know, it's been hovering around between 153 and 156 to 1. That is where it had reached before. We're not seeing runaway devaluation. So I think that you have to give the system in that regard some props, because the Bank of Jamaica has been doing a decent job at managing the exchange rate. There are other issues in their interest rate policy and so on, which are controversial. I don't think we need to get into that tonight. But you know, in terms of foreign exchange management, Jamaica has reached, I think, a point now where we're managing it fairly well. And that is not something which I think is politically controversial, because the architecture that has been put in place to achieve that is architecture that both sides have contributed to. So I think there's a commonality that as to how we should deal with those things. But again. Yes, yes. The way in which we police communities. And you know, we do have a history of problems in that regard. And you know, first of all, I want to big up the police who go out and do their jobs and do it in a respectful way and expose themselves to danger and dealing with criminals and so on. I'm not here to bash any police officers. But at the same time, the community that I represent, the constituency that I represent, South St. Andrew, I hear the same cries that you were speaking of. That some police, and it's not all by any means, but you have like 1 and 2 maybe, who don't have no behavior. And they chuck it on people in some way, and they need to be, the management of the force needs to make sure that when that happens, it is addressed. So it doesn't become a sore point of contention between the citizens and the police, because the police need information from the citizens so that they can police the area properly. And if the relationship is not good and constructive, then that flow of information won't happen, and then you have problems. So it's really a community policing and a good relationship needs to be seen as being very important. And where you have situations of abusive behavior, it needs to be dealt with resolutely by the management, and if they're not dealing with it, institutions like Indicom are there to step in. And so that is very important. We're in favor of body-worn cameras. You know, we believe, for example, a very important practical way of holding police officers accountable and for their own protection, that so people can't turn their life on them too, is to have the body-worn cameras where they're going into on operations where they may be in conflict with bad men or whatever. The cameras are there to say what really happened, and it's going to encourage that their compliance with the rules and the laws that they're supposed to uphold and not break, and also give them protection where others may be tell life on them and them can say, well, that is not what happened, and the camera is there to show. And I must tell you, I'm a little disappointed that the fact that after so many years, because when we were in government, we were seeking to introduce the body-worn cameras, and still, you know, 9 years after, it is still not being used as it should. And you know, some of the comments of the Minister of National Security, the Prime Minister, send a certain tone which I don't think is correct. You know, can't be saying about, you know, meet your judge or meet Jamaica, like as if, you know, law and whoever has the biggest gun can do what they like, and if you don't like it, well, go court. No, that is not the message we want. We need to live in a nation of laws where people have rights which must be respected. That's not to say that we don't understand the importance of enforcing the laws and being. Sometimes police have to be very, very firm because they're dealing with people who are doing very bad things. But at the same time, you can't be sending messages that suggest that they can behave in a callous way and then people suffer the consequences. Not you who made the statement, because you're Mr. Big Man and nobody not troubling you, but the youth who are there in the communities being policed sometimes feel the effects of the kind of attitude that that narrative and that way of speaking puts into the mind of certain people. So I think it's a very important thing that you've said, and you know, we believe in the rule of law, we believe in due process, we believe in respect, and so we expect the police to live up to those standards as well, and that is what we're going to require of them when we're in government. Thank you. Yes. I understand that the gentleman who spoke about fire safety and fire policy has actually submitted a policy paper, which is with our spokesperson for local government for review. We are going to be considering the points you've made and see to what extent we can include them in our approach to how we deal with that issue. Fire safety is a critical thing, because especially in Jamaica, where we have such a large number of persons who are using electricity without the normal wiring and arrangement. So we have, and a lot of the housing stock in certain communities is very old, and so you have a lot of fires. For example, in my constituency, we have far too many fires, and you know, it that is a problem. And so fire safety is a very important issue, and it goes to a number of other things that contribute to the situation that have to be sorted out. But I'm looking forward to, hearing what you have proposed and see to what extent we can improve on those aspects of life. Yeah, the Jamal thing. They have gotten rid of Jamal essentially and merged it into the foundation of lifelong learning. But I don't think there's any real emphasis on ensuring that persons who are not so strong with the reading and writing and want the opportunity to improve have an opportunity to do so in a very easy way. So because right now there are many people in Jamaica who would like to brush up on those skills. And brush up on those skills in a way where there's no disrespect or shame attached to it, but they're treated as being persons who are looking to uplift themselves and respect due to them for that. So we need to look at how we can bring those things back and make them available for the people who want to take advantage of those things. Yeah. You want it? Yeah.
I wanted to say one last thing, just to thank you all, firstly for being so attentive and for participating in the way that you have. But I want to encourage you, just like how in what she says. We are a listening group. We are going to be government and we want to hear your views. So just like how Dwayne Parkinson could produce a document that puts on fire safety and send it in, I'm encouraging you. You might not want to write something, but you can send your representative a voice note that they can pass on so we can put it in our policies. Because one thing we do not forget is that we are here to serve you.
You want me to close out? Okay. Comrades, we've had a wonderful evening. We have discussed many things, and we have heard you, and you have heard us. There are going to be many more conversations. We have another one next week in Stantide on the 27th with the party leader, Comrade Dayton Campbell and Comrade Lambert Brown. Because we must take our policies to the people so the people can take their ideas to us. And we will continue with our Build Your Dream sessions so that you will be able to live your dreams. It is late. It is 20 minutes to 10. We have done well. I thank you all very much. Comrades, time come for a change, champion. Time come